talked about it a lot, but before the show, I asked you, I said, hey, what is one word you would use to describe yourself? And you used the word empowerment. Why?
I think for myself, it's because I use it as the theme for all the work I do. So when I'm thinking about, okay, do I want to take on a new project? It's, okay, does it have to do with empowerment? So whether it be the boards I sit on, such as Activate Good or Leadership Triangle, whether it's just the youth empowerment work I do with Youth Ambassadors of Service, the United Nations, like my speaking engagements, it's all, okay, how can you empower people to be the best version of themselves? Because at the end of the day, there's only one me, only got 24 hours in the day. So how do you extrapolate that impact? Is by empowering others. So yeah, that's why I chose empowerment.
I appreciate that we actually share our love with our guests through a token of appreciation. So we took that word empowerment and put it on a $2 bill. And the reason why that means so much to us, when I was a kid, I used to get what called strange pieces of money. And this meant a lot to me from my grandmother. Because when she gave these to me, it was almost like I didn't want to spend it, right? It was so strange. Now, I did get those Boston baked beans and them nowadays every now and again, but we want to give this as a token of appreciation for you being on the show and just saying thank you.
Wait,
we appreciate
that's
you.
Isn't that so the dopest sweet.
Thing ever?
Look at that.
That is, let the people know.
Look at that.
That's what we do.
I don't think I've ever seen a $2 bill.
Have you ever been on a show that has given you money?
No.
Nah, nonetheless, something as intricate and dope.
Who is that?
It's a $2 bill. Jefferson. Yeah.
See, I didn't even know who was on that bill. That's crazy. Wait, I'm gonna keep this. Like, I'm gonna put it up over my desk and it's gonna just sit there. I love this.
Welcome to Community Spotlight, brought to you by Bro Code TV Productions and hosted by the Bros. Join us on this dynamic journey as we shine the spotlight on local agents who are making a profound difference in their communities. These remarkable individuals bring creativity, wellness, and purpose to the forefront as they tackle challenges, nurture their families, and celebrate successes. In each episode, we explore their unique stories and initiatives, offering an inspiring glimpse into the world of community transformation. Get ready to be inspired by those who are leaving an undeniable mark on their neighborhoods.
You right there. We want you to enjoy the show, but before you do that, hit that subscribe button. And look, we got so much dope content going on around here on the Bro Code Show. Hit that notification button too, baby, so that way when it drops, you'll know. Enjoy the show. Peace. What's up, good people? Welcome to the Bro Code Show Community Spotlight, the show where we delve into the minds of individuals driving positive change in our communities. I'm your host, Bro Troy, and today we will have a remarkable guest, Miss Sonali
Ratnasinghe,
the dynamic 20-year-old founder and executive director of Youth Ambassadors of Service, a youth-led nonprofit here in North Carolina. Sonali is currently a student at UNC Chapel Hill, pursuing a double major in business administration and public policy with a minor in data science. Tonight we'll be discussing the power of mentorship, why mentors matter, and creating magical moments. Sonali, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
I know it. Before the show, we were talking about trips and everything in between, and I definitely want to get into all that. But I want to start a little bit more about learning a little bit more about you. I read that you like audiobooks. Is that right?
Oh, yeah.
You do? You do like audiobooks?
110%. Like, I read a book a week.
A book a week? Come on.
Yeah.
In the car? Like, is it? How does that even?
When I'm walking to class, in between classes, if I have a free moment while I'm eating lunch, like, there's so much dead time in the day, you can just, like, listen.
Wow. Okay, well, answer me this. If you could speed listen to one historical figure giving advice, who would it be and why?
Probably Steve Jobs. Like, I know there's some scandalous things about who he was as a manager sometimes, but when it came to his foundational principles, I think that says so much about him, and there's so much you can learn from him. Especially, just look at some of his little old YouTube videos from back in the day. My favorite is his video, Secrets of Life, and it talks about how you can actually create value for people around you and just how to think about how to make life a better place and leave the world with a real impact. And to see that, but on an everyday basis, and really listen to that more holistically and not just through the audiobooks, would be a dream.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I'm sure you can get some gems on that. Now, I don't know where I read this, but green thumb or no? Food agriculture, is that your thing?
Like, I'll try to eat healthy if that's what you mean, but like, gardening is not my go-to hobby.
Okay. Well, take me back home if you could. Well, you spoke of hobby. What is one of your hobbies?
I just started learning German.
Really?
Just because so many of my friends like speak German and are from Germany, I was like, hey, usually when someone asks me, what do you do for fun? I'm like, I read a book for business. Like, I don't
Oh, come on.
Or like, I sleep, spend time with family. Like, I genuinely don't think I had a hobby until recently, but now I can tell people it's German.
Well, give them something. Tell the people something in German.
Oh gosh.
I put you on the spot?
Yeah.
Hello?
Maybe a little bit. Ich heiße Sonali.
What, that's your name? What did you
my
say
name
my
is
name
Sonali.
is? I love it. Okay. Speaking of Germany, does that take you to a special place? Like, there's many languages that you could have attempted to learn, wanted to learn. Why German?
Yeah, so, okay, this is a long-winded story that you wouldn't think has to do with Germany, but I decided to have my first solo traveling trip ever this year. Or
Okay.
like, real solo traveling. Like, I've traveled for work to like New York and stuff, but at the end of the day, I was like, okay, what am I really gonna do? And I've decided that I wanted to take a trip to Singapore. And so I went to Asia, had the time of my life, and so I used Singapore as my base, but I used it to learn more about myself as someone who'd never really solo traveled abroad.
Wow.
My hope was it was gonna teach me about myself and who I've become. It was gonna help me meet some lovely people and build lifelong relationships, and it did all of that. So I met a lot of lovely German friends and even met some back in the US that knew all my German friends in Singapore, and I decided I'm gonna genuinely use that to try to learn a new language, and so that's exactly what I did.
Ready to take your brand to the next level. Bro Code TV Productions delivers media that matters and content that connects. From dynamic videos and high-energy live events to stunning photography, drone footage, and podcast creation. Stand out with creativity and excellence. Visit www.brokotproductions.com or call 919-714-9905 today.
Wow. Okay, well, I want to learn a little bit more about that trip. I'm sure there was some memories in that, but thank you for sharing.
Oh, for sure.
I heard that you intentionally try to find levity in any situation. You call them magical moments?
Casual magic.
Casual magic. I admire that. I do. Admiring the fullness rather than the lack. That takes a special person. I really admire that. Answer me this. If you could invest if you could invest in your wellness like it was the stock market, what's wellness? What's one wellness stock?
And the whole concept behind it is, as someone who's very numbers oriented, it gives you a baseline because, of course, think about it. When you are getting into fitness, wellness, you check a scale.
Right.
Well, how much of that is like fat versus muscle? You don't know. And as someone who wants to be gaining muscle and not fat, especially nowadays, just as someone who's super into that, of course, like taking a scan every 6 months or that kind of thing is super valuable because that scan doesn't just tell you, oh, like, you weigh this much. It tells you you weigh this amount of good weight. It allows you to experiment for 6 months, see if something's working.
Okay.
If you look and see the numbers are not exactly what you're looking for, well, great. That's when you get to do that again. And you get to try and iterate. And especially as I believe in experimentation, it's experimenting with your 12-week year, but with your first foundation, which is your health.
You mentioned the word experimentation a few times.
Yeah.
Talk to me about, define that for me. What does that mean to you? How has that really matured your space of education, how you see the world, and maybe even how you treat yourself? What does that mean to you?
Yeah, so I'm still in university, so in my 3rd year, but what that means is I have so much more to learn, and so I believe in lifelong learning. And yes, you could do it through traditional means such as school, online courses, that kind of thing. But what about through untraditional means, right? And so a huge component of that is learning by doing. And to see how things work or don't, you got to give things a shot. So for example, my newsletter, right? I started a newsletter maybe this time last year, and what I told myself was I'll do it for 12 weeks. If I love it, great, I can keep going. If I don't love it, okay, move on. Like, it's not like you're quitting because you're setting a deadline to see if this is something you want to continue with. And it allows for iteration, but it also allows for you to take things and run with it. And as a young person, just being able to try new things, experiment, make things happen, and bring things to life.
I love that, man. I call that being a forever learner.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so that's my goal, even when
Yeah.
I'm out of university, moving on to my next seasons of life, still able to always be learning.
I love that spirit. Thank you for that. I want to transition and talk a little bit more about your family, your heritage,
Yeah.
your loved ones, the matriarchs and patriarchs of your home. Talk to me about the ecosystem that you grew up in, continuing to grow up in, but more so the earlier years. Like, how did the spirit of Sonali come to life? Like, where was this birth come from?
So I love my parents. Like, shout out to if they're watching, which they better be. And I bet you they would, because again, they're amazing parents.
Yeah.
And they're always supporting me, and even these untraditional paths that I'm taking for my career in life, even though I bet you they're probably like, oh my God, what is she doing? But even growing up, like, I had amazing role models for parents. Like, they're the ideal of the American dream, coming to the US, being raised and just trying to figure out how to make the best life for their future family. And especially growing up, like, to see my parents genuinely be so engaged in our childhood. And even when the time came in 7th grade, my dad decided to be a stay-at-home dad while my mom pursued her career.
Wow. That's amazing. Sisters, brothers, siblings?
Yeah, I have a little sister. She's not that little. She's like 18. She's a freshman at UNC Chapel Hill as well.
Okay.
So go Heels, of course. But I like to think that I was the motivating factor for her to come to UNC. Not the great psych department or whatever. But
Is that what she's majoring in?
yeah,
or is that how
so
she wants to heal the world?
She's a psych major. She's found her own path, and it's perfect for her.
I love that. How much influence have your parents made on who you are today? Oftentimes we take on the spirits of those that are around us most. Is it safe to say that through the audience of your parents or your grandparents that helped to birth the gumption and the fortitude that you take towards the things that you want to serve in the community?
First, I love the word gumption. Like, that's one of my professor's favorite words in the world. And I think it really shows so much to who a person is.
Yeah.
But yes, entirely. My dad, he's a very charismatic, fun personality. I tried to adopt that. Always a work in progress in every space, but try to be the best of the both of them. And as for my mom, like, she was the kind of mom who is hardworking. Like, she's a badass.
Yeah.
And
Shout out to moms.
Yeah. And so back in 5th grade, like, I remember coming home from school, I had my spelling test I had to be working on or studying for or whatever. And as for my mom, like, she'd be working her butt off, trying to make things happen and just be the best boss she could be. And it worked. Like, she's moving up the ranks. Like, she's so cool. But just to see someone who's an executive in her field really be able to bring things to life, not let, like, society define you.
Yes.
I think that's beautiful, and it's really what helps me subconsciously realize I can do anything, even if it's starting a nonprofit at 16.
Yeah. And we're going to talk more about that, right? Because that right there is an amazement all by itself. But talk to me a little bit more. What is there most important, you're only 20, I get it, but in the 20 years that you have been on the world, is there a life lesson? Is there something that, wow, that really stuck with me? This was a space that helped me grow, or whether it be an event, a word of wisdom, or just a life experience?
I think it's just the concept of everything is figure-outable. I can't remember the TED Talk or the author that came from, so credit to whoever that is. But the whole concept that everything is figure-outable
I love
the
that.
fact that I figured out how to run a nonprofit at 16. Maybe not well, but you learn through experience. You learn by doing. I'm the kind of person who'll sit there and read every book in the planet about something, but that doesn't mean I'm actually taking action. And so understanding that, take the steps you need to take, make things happen, and then iterate, like that's the core to who I try to be. And that can be through anything, like even relationships. When something gets tough, okay, well, let's read a book, let's implement it, see how it works, and iterate.
Right.
And I think that's what I love about being at this season of life, just the fact that I have the chance to fail and no one's gonna be like harping on me. But also, then I'm able to learn really early on how to make the best life for myself and those around me.
Ready to take your brand to the next level? Bro Code TV Productions delivers media that matters and content that connects. From dynamic videos and high-energy live events to stunning photography, drone footage, and podcast creation. Stand out with creativity and excellence. Visit www.brokerdproductions.com or call 919-714-9905 today.
I love that. Thank you for sharing. I oftentimes hear that the space between idea and success is execution.
Yeah.
And oftentimes that's what most people lack. We have all the ideas in the world. We have all the creativity in the world, you know, but the doing.
Like, let me give you the perfect example.
Please.
New Year's resolutions. I bet you know exactly what you need to do to be hitting that resolution, or 80% of your resolutions. But they don't happen. Why is that? Well, it's because of the execution. You stop that consistent execution a month or two into the year. I can't remember the exact statistics, but like over 50% of goals don't get hit for the New Year's resolutions. And why is that? Well, that's because of the actual most important part, which is making it happen.
Right.
And so I believe in that, like wholeheartedly, and just the fact that you have to marry the ideation part, which is inherently who I am, with the doer part, which is a little more tedious, but what makes anything happen. And also surrounding yourself by doers. I think now that I've been able to grow the organization that I run to a little bit of a larger size, I'm able to bring on those doers that can keep me in check, but also bring my ideas to life.
I think that's a great segue when it comes to service as we get into talking more about that organization, right? Yes, correct?
Yeah, Youth Ambassadors of Service.
Absolutely.
YAS.
Yes, I love it. Why you gotta put some spice on that
Trying to
thing?
keep that youthful spirit.
I love that, and we're gonna talk a little bit more about that. But before we do, how did service even become important to you? Like 16 years young. Hell, you're only 20 now, but at 16 years young, you had the audacious spirit to say, "Hey, I want to leave things better than how I found it. And the manner by which I want to do it is to put other people's needs before my own wants." That's a sense of selflessness and is not often embraced, at least in my 44 years on this earth, but nonetheless at 16. So help listeners understand, how did service become important to you?
A lot of it's not like watching my family. My parents are very like giving people. I remember going to the food bank in 5th grade and packing potatoes or something or another in the food bank back when I was living in Dallas. And so just those kinds of little experiences, but also seeing my mom sit on boards, be a part of these business alliances, so giving back in untraditional senses, and seeing how my dad is always there for his community. So seeing how they're each plugging in their own way has been super engaging, and they're still doing it. Like, they're still doing that great work. So really grateful to have them as role models in my life, especially in that space.
I love it. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about really put the spirit and the spice into how you give back to the youth, how you empower them, and how you set them up for success in the next stage of their life. We'll be right back on the Bro Code Show with Sonali
Ratnasinghe.
Sonali, we have talked about a lot. You know, we are landing this plane, but one of the segments of our show is What's Your Code? And the reason we say that is because our show is called the Bro Code. So when you think about that code, what does that mean to you?
Okay, so we have talked about this, like the entirety of this session. But first of all, little plug to my newsletter. If you look back a few months back, I had one called The 20 Life Lessons for Turning 20, and it was like the 20 biggest lessons I learned from this point of time, right? So look at that if you want like a really in-depth version. But as a whole, I'd say there are 4 big ones, and you've probably seen this as a trend throughout our conversation today, but they are lifelong learning, community, authenticity, and gratitude. And it's just like such a soul and like such a like important theme to who I am. Of course, it's gonna evolve, it's gonna shift with time, but as for the last few years, that's what it's been, and I think it'll be the same for the next season of life. So super excited about that. I'll give you a perfect gratitude example because I don't think I really honed in on that as much as some of the others during our time together. But I love doing this thing where for the start of every year, so I did this last year, and I'm doing this January as well, but every January, every single day, I send a random thank you note. It'll be at least 3 paragraphs long to a person who's truly impacted me, whether they know me or not. So whether it be the mentors that have just been a huge part of my life, whether it be people or influencers who really helped me shape my mental models and my perspectives that have created the version of myself that I am today, all of that, it all comes from just gratitude. And so I think those are my 4 core foundations and my core values, and I'm gonna keep building upon those. But yeah, that's my code.
Ready to take your brand to the next level. Bro Code TV Productions delivers media that matters and content that connects. From dynamic videos and high-energy live events to stunning photography, drone footage, and podcast creation. Stand out with creativity and excellence. Visit www.brokerdproductions.com or call 919-714-9905 today.
Sonali, tell me a little bit more. It was yas, right? Did I get the spice right?
Yeah,
yas.
You
Like
got
yas. Okay. All right, got to put a little hip in it. Tell me a little bit more about its inception, how it came about, and the manner by which you chose to use service to the world. Why that space?
Yeah, so Youth Ambassadors of Service, which is what YAS stands for.
Okay.
We were founded in 2020 when I was a sophomore in high school. The whole concept was, this is the organization I needed most when I was young.
Yeah.
It was what I wish I had. So
Yeah.
I say it's selfless, but it could be a little selfish too. But the whole concept behind YAS is the fact that we're a youth-led nonprofit teaching high schoolers how to get involved in social impact. And so what I'd realized, especially as I'd started fundraising, so COVID, of course, exacerbated a huge need in the community, was that young people wanted to engage in more than just the one-time volunteerism of community impact, but they didn't know how. And so that's exactly what we came in to do. So my peers came to me and said, okay, how are you learning how to start a nonprofit? How are you engaging in the sector? How are you choosing what nonprofits to give to? Like all this great work. And I was like, honestly, like I'm still figuring it out myself, but let's figure it out together. And so then we ended up being a bunch of young people running around doing projects for local organizations and the such. And so that's just what we kept doing. We just kept engaging with organizations until it grew big enough that we were like, oh, we need to turn this into a real thing, do a real community and needs assessment, truly understand how to engage with our young people and create strong, legit programs. And so that's exactly what we did. It took a little bit of time to figure out. We became a nonprofit 2 years later when I turned 18, because I also had to be an adult to do that technically. But that was part of the fun and was part of the excitement. So now YAS has grown into an organization with 3 big programs. One is an introductory program, Act in Advance, teaching students the basics of the nonprofit sector. One is our fellowship program for the students who are more engaged, doing an internship with a nonprofit and learning a little bit more about that sector as a whole through our curriculum. And our last one is our SCALE program, which we go and meet the students where they're at, and it's a fee-for-service program for us to really serve students more deeply and intentionally through schools and community organizations. So in partnership.
I love that. Great segue into talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Exactly.
You know, Talk to me a little bit more about your greatest accomplishments, and then share a few of the challenges as well.
Yeah, so honestly, like, I don't think I could pick a single greatest accomplishment, but for me, it's whenever I'm on the ground with the students. I'm a very strategic person, so especially recently, I've been very, like, behind the scenes in a sense. But every time I'm back on the ground with a student and they'll say, Yas has helped me, like, become what I wanted to through this organization, or, oh, I thought I'd lost my sense of purpose. I didn't know the point of life, and now I think I've found it through service. Or just like our youngest staff person at my favorite nonprofit, A Place at the Table, which is a pay what you can cafe.
Shout out to Maggie.
Yeah, for sure. Shout out to Maggie. But a huge part of that was because a young person was cultivated through our organization. She joined our organization, really worked with us, did a few projects for another nonprofit called Note in the Pocket, and now all of a sudden she's working at A Place at the Table because she's realized she wants service to be a part of her future.
Shout out to Dallas too.
Yeah, see, so many good people in partnership in this community, but that's part of the fun.
That's it, man. Collaboration definitely is key, man.
Exactly.
And finding a way where we can all hold our end of the rope, whatever the end is.
Exactly, and thinking about challenges on the second part of that question. A lot of it's been being a young person in this space. Like, to be a young person and have most of the people, whether it be funders or nonprofit partners and nonprofit leaders in our community, be in their 40s, 50s, like some in their 30s. But to be 20 in this space is almost unheard of, at least in our local community. And it does create some challenges because first we have to prove our credibility as a young organization, entirely youth-led. But also it's just the experience that we're gaining on the fly. So we didn't come into this space with a network. We're building it as we go, and we're constantly iterating to make sure that this work is not just for here, but it's going to be sustainable for the rest of time.
I love it. I love it. Talk to me a little bit more about vision, what's next, what's on deck. We're in the beginning of 25, but what does it look like for the organization, for yourself, your personal development in the future, and what's next to come?
Yeah, so for me, always looking to learn and grow. So looking at Yas specifically, we'll start there and then I'll move to the personal side. But looking at Yas, I think the big thing I've realized is the fact that we've finally figured out how to do things right. So we figured out what our proven process is, and so it's now genuinely just scaling it. So we serve the triangle, a little beyond the triangle, just I say North Carolina wide, but really intentionally serving the entirety of the state. I'll give y'all a sneak peek preview, just because y'all are special enough to be watching this episode in the first place, but something we haven't shared with the public till, well, right now, is the fact that we're also going through the focus group process and the community needs assessment to create an online community for Yas that reaches the entire country. Because currently, we've had students outreach from California, Texas, New York, wherever it might be, saying, we want a Yas in our state, why doesn't it exist? And so being able to do that allows us to pilot things, try things out, be able to serve a larger community while still honing in on our North Carolina niche. So super excited of what's to come there. On the personal side, I'm actually thinking about taking a gap semester or a leave of absence semester. Everyone calls it something different. I promise I'm not about to pull a Bill Gates or Mark Zuckerberg and drop out forever. I do want to go back and finish college because I think university is everything, at least to me. But that means I'm really going to put my all into my endeavors, and I'm just so excited for it. So, of course, scaling Yas, but looking to get more involved in speaking engagements, advocacy as a whole, maybe some content creation through fun things like this, but also thinking about how else I want to engage in empowerment through the startup lens and plug into other amazing organizations doing this work. So trying to follow what I call the pathless path. And so if you've heard it, a good book by Paul Millard is, well, The Pathless Path, and trying to figure out how I can bring it to life and live the best life possible while making the most impact.
I love that, and I wish you the best in luck in that space. We use the word of discover, right? Of discovery, right? Being in a space of reimagining unlearning, relearning, and just being open to what's next, what's to come. So I wish you the best in that. Let's talk about how mentors play a space in that. Do you believe that mentors matter?
Yeah. Like, first of all, that's the work I do. So, like, I'd be really interested in if I said no. But I don't believe in the concept that anyone is self-made. Like, yes, I see where people are coming from with generational wealth and all the things, but you can't do it alone. No one can do it alone. And having people ahead of you, whether it be 2 or 3 steps or generations that help you figure out your 10, 20-year vision for life, like that's really what it looks like. And so whether it be silent mentors, people who know they're your mentors, that kind of thing, like it's just so valuable to be a part of that space and have those people in your life.
And for you personally, is there anyone that you can think of that has played a role of mentorship, young, old?
So many people. Like, I know at least personally, like I can name 20 people right now. So when it comes to people who've actually been there for me, I'm not sure, like if I'm thinking about people who probably know they're my mentor, I'd be thinking like people in public speaking such as Dr. Sarah Glover, people like Maggie Kane in the nonprofit sector, my board chair Melina, who sits down and it's like, okay, this is how you create a strategic plan and like actually how you be a good leader in your community, or Christine Sloan, who invited me to apply for Leadership Triangle at age 18. Like, these are the types of things that I felt like have provided so much value to me tangibly, and the types of people who've really supported me. And of course, I just named 4 of like 100. But also the silent mentors. Like, I believe in the concept that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. But something we don't think about is now we have the ability to consume so much content that you are the 5 people you also listen to the most. So one of my favorite productivity YouTubers is Ali Abdaal, right? So intrinsically understanding who he is by listening to like hundreds of hours of his content probably helps me figure out, okay, this is who I'm trying to emulate in bits and pieces. But so those silent mentors as well, who probably don't know who I am, but really play a role in my future.
Absolutely. Mentors definitely matter. I would concur.
Yeah.
You know, whether it be directly or indirectly, as you spoke of, by emulation, admiration, and everything in between. What words of wisdom or guidance would you give to those that are seeking a mentor? I've talked to young people before that, you know, really are not sure how to embrace, approach, or begin to find one. You know, what would be your thoughts in that space?
So, what I will say is your mentors shift throughout your life. Like, that's just part of the process. But the way you start creating mentors is, first of all, by asking. Like, I think you can emulate people, or you could just ask and really build up that relationship with a person. That said, I wouldn't say you meet someone the first time and say, oh, you're gonna be my mentor. It's for sure one of those, it's for sure one of those things where I'm thinking about, okay, like, how can I engage with that person over time and build a deeper relationship? Like, I believe you bond over vulnerability and ambition, and so how can you take that and build a deeper relationship with someone who could become a mentor? On the other end, I think that you grow mentors by doing, right? So put good content or volume of work out into the world, and you'll find that mentor or those mentors that really mean something. So for example, all these people I just named, I did not have in my life until I started a nonprofit. I had something to prove for myself to an extent, and they saw that I was truly committed to the path. So Maggie introduced me to her Community Leaders Drinking Coffee group, which is a nonprofit group in the Triangle, when she was like, hey, well, I see you're doing some great work, let me bring you into this space. And it's not something where they're waiting for you to prove yourself per se, but in a sense, it's easier when you have that proof to say, hey, I really mean that this is something important to me and this is something I want to engage with, and take it from there.
I love it. How can people connect with you? And in this space, I want you to not just think social media, but earlier in the conversation, you talked about speaking engagements and things that you want to grow in for yourself. So how can individuals get connected with you? How can they support the nonprofit? Give them your
I'll
link.
kind of think that one through. So the most holistic place to actually see myself is, two places. If you want to just get a highlight reel of my life, quote unquote, which is not exactly the most representative of the full version of myself, but kind of keeps you in the loop, my LinkedIn or my Instagram would be the best places to do that, specifically my LinkedIn. It's literally my name, Sonali Ratnasinghe. It's not too hard to find because there's only one of those in the world. But in the other spaces, my newsletter is probably the more authentic version of myself, where I truly show who I am. I talk about the ups and downs, the things I've been learning. It's more Sonali in real time, so that's probably the best way to find that version of myself. When it comes to the nonprofit and engaging in that work, always feel free to hit me up on LinkedIn, but find us on our website, on our social media, Youth Ambassadors of Service on Instagram. But we love having more young people engage in our work always. We're always looking for more supporters in any way, more speaking engagements to really start building out our platform as an organization, really trying to break into this space. So always looking for unique partnerships and new ideas, and so always down to chat those through. But yeah.
I certainly appreciate it. We'll be right back on the Bro Code Show with Sonali
Ratnasinghe.
Ready to take your brand to the next level. Bro Code TV Productions delivers media that matters and content that connects. From dynamic videos and high-energy live events to stunning photography, drone footage, and podcast creation. Stand out with creativity and excellence. Visit www.brokotproductions.com or call 919-714-9905 today.
Hey, call my name. When summer rain. Yeah, I don't mind rain for rain. Yeah, I don't mind if it rains for rain. Yeah. Keep it running, yeah. Wash away me up again. Yeah, I was asked the other day, man, what's a song that just puts me in a good mood? It's it right here, y'all. Won't you be? Yeah. Call time. Summer rain. All right, so now we're going to have some fun. Look, we talked about a whole lot, but it's time to have some fun. You ready?
I'm ready.
Now, we did a little research, and don't be scared.
Oh, no.
It's okay. Don't be scared. It's okay.
It's not like I have anything weird online, but like...
Yeah, we would never do
I
that.
don't know what research means.
I feel you. You know, not UNC Chapel Hill type research, but we did some research, okay? Yeah. We didn't go that deep. But what we did do is we saw pictures that you have already put out into the world on Instagram, websites, things of that nature. But I want to text you this picture, and I would love for you to share with the world, one, why you shared it with the world, what you were doing, who's in it, and why it was impactful to you. So I'm texting you now this first picture. You let me know your first thoughts. Let the world know. You should be getting it in a second.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I don't think I've ever seen this photo, actually.
Really?
Yeah, like, this is so cute. I don't think I'm in it. No, I was not. This is not an event I was at. Okay, so this picture is from our last Book Harvest volunteering event.
Okay.
With our fellowship program. So, for some context, this is so cute. Okay, not the point. So for YAS, we have our fellowship program. They do bi-monthly volunteer events, and one of our favorite organizations in the world is Book Harvest. For some fun context, Book Harvest, which is an amazing organization based in Durham. They're actually the first organization our organization ever worked with back in the day.
Really?
So when I was a little 16-year-old, they were one of the few people who actually responded to my emails and said, yes, like, we would love your support. We would love to partner with y'all.
Wow.
And so, of course, in our commitment
That's
and
special, yeah.
for our love for Book Harvest, we always make sure we go back. And so I guess this was our volunteer event from very recent. And so you can see all of the students, or at least some of the students from our fellowship program, having a good time, having a good moment. And I think they actually processed over 14,000 books.
Wow.
Because I can see in the comment, it says Book Harvest NC commented 14,000 with a mind-blowing emoji. So that's really cute.
14,000 books.
Yeah, in a period of 2-3 hours. I have efficient, amazing students.
Yes.
Yes. So I love my little ducklings.
I love it. You have to roll the eyes up when you say it, right?
Yes.
Like you have to, right? It's like yes, but with sass.
With the pizzazz.
Right, with the pizzazz. Oh, with the pizzazz, you gotta do the finger too. Oh,
The
yeah.
pizzazz. First, some fun context. We were used to be called General Services Foundation. A little
That's
more
gas.
administrative, a little less exciting. So when we went through a rebrand at the start of 2024,
Okay.
we were like, okay, what gives that high school, like college, like university energy, but also what was really fun, and Yas was the way to go.
I love it. How long did it take you guys to actually come up with that when the rebrand started?
Not actually a lot of time. I think we were just so ready for it to happen. We were just like, okay, what's fun and youthful? And I think we came up with a similar name, or one of the students did, and we ran with it.
I love that. I love that. I'm sending the next picture now.
Okay, let's see. Oh, this is a cutie one.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. Talk to us about it.
Yeah, so I think I was in India at the time. I went to India for a little bit of the summer. Okay, the whole context behind that was, like I said, I went solo traveling in Singapore. I used Singapore as my base, and oh my God, I had the time of my life. Like, I don't think you understand. Like, not only did I meet lovely people, gone there by myself, that kind of thing, but also I was just in my zone of genius, just living it up. So during the day, 9 to 5, I was working on my endeavors, engaging in the good work. In the evenings, I was meeting lovely people, and in, I don't know, the weekends, I was just traveling to a different country every week. And it was crazy. Like, it's just not something you can do in the US. And so this picture, I went on a 9-hour shopping spree, because for some context, to get Indian dresses, or these what they're called as lehengas, it's kind of expensive in the US, like maybe triple the price. And so I just went on a shopping spree. I just bought all of them.
Wow.
Not all of them. I wish I had that kind of money. But I did try on all of them.
You tried.
And so this was in Bangalore, and I was with my aunt, and we just ran around and shopped together, and we just shopped till we dropped. So much fun.
Yes.
I don't do that often. I'm not a big shopper like that, but for a good Indian dress, yes.
Yeah, so you got a few of them. I mean, you had to get the most bang for your buck.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And like, they dressed you up, they did all the work for you. You felt like a princess.
Wow.
Not like a queen.
Yeah.
So-
Uh-oh, we gotta take a step above that. Okay,
Exactly.
okay. Well, hold on, Queen. I got one more for you. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. You should be getting it in a second.
I had a feeling if you were gonna pull another picture from Asia, it was gonna be that one. Wait, this is so cute. Okay, for context, I was just in Kenya with my family and spent so much time with the elephants, and it was so much fun. Well, I didn't get to go at the safari vehicle or the Land Cruiser, but I got to stare at them and see all the cute babies and just see them in reality. Okay, but not the point. So, Asia, yes. So another fun weekend trip I took from Singapore was to Sri Lanka. Because for some context, my mom was of Indian heritage, my dad's of Sinhalese or Sri Lankan heritage. And so, of course, I was like, I haven't been back to Sri Lanka in 7 years. I should go. And one of my favorite childhood memories from going to Sri Lanka is the elephants. Like, oh my gosh, there's this lovely elephant orphanage called Pinnavela. And in Pinnavela, the whole context is these are all elephants that have dealt with some sort of harm and are now being taken care of. And so in Pinnavela, we get to, of course, feed the elephants, that kind of thing. You don't get to ride the elephants because that's a little inhumane, but you do get to pet them, you do get to hang out with them. And so I had the best day of my life. Oh my God. Like, they were all so sweetie and nice and precious, and oh my God, like I miss this so much, and I just miss Asia and just the experience of learning so much. Like, okay, not part of the point, but if you haven't solo traveled before, I completely recommend it, especially in your early 20s, because it helps you build confidence in yourself, try things out. Like, this is not in any of these pictures, but I got lost in Thailand all by myself. I had to figure it out. I did. It was not fun. But afterward, I was like, oh, I just did that. If I did that, I could do anything. So, yeah, that's my recommendation. It gives you this self-belief that you just don't have otherwise. You also just get to learn about people and the culture. You get to learn how you travel. You get to learn what you appreciate about the world and just realize that the world is bigger than yourself. So that's just my little solo traveling plug. If you need any advice, feel free to reach out because I love it. And it's just such a good experience that I want to do more of when I graduate. But yeah.
I love it. I appreciate you sharing, as we land this plane. Just want to thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your energy. Thank you for being transparent. Thank you for being authentic. And really allowing us to come spotlight who you are as a person, what you believe in, and how you share your mission with the world. So, as always, I'm Bro Troy. Till the next time, this is the Bro Code Show Community Spotlight, and we have just highlighted Sonali
Ratnasinghe.
All right, Sonali, we have talked about a lot, but hey, we got to get this thing called the testimony because you just got off the dopest TV show south of the Mason-Dixon line, known as the Bro Code Show Community Spotlight, where we took the time to set up 3 4K Sony cameras, put a drone in the sky. Shout out to Raleigh, found it here on the 2nd level. We're downtown. Which one is this one?
North Street.
North
Raleigh
Street.
found a North Street. It's like their headquarter location.